Hi and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is VlogsBoutNothin. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy night to join me. I really appreciate that. To all the new subs, all the new viewers, I see you, and there's over 430 videos on the channel now. So I know that like all of the latest ones sometimes aren't the videos that everyone gets around to viewing, but as the channel continues to grow and inevitably become what I know it's going to be, I thoroughly welcome all new people that have ever watched a video for the first time here on the channel, which from day to day is very different, and sometimes it's a lot of different people, and so I see you guys, and if you're new to the program, I'm here to entertain you, and I don't want you to be distracted. So I'll take the yelling at the screen or whatever, but comments are off for a reason in that regard. You can see me, battle through this emotionally over the course of like at least 100 videos now, in terms of when that had happened and why I made that decision ultimately, and now why I stand by that decision in retrospect more than I thought I would, because of how I want, you guys to consume my content, if that's a thing, right? Is just like I want to entertain you, And so tonight, and it's just that's it, So sit back, relax, let the dude talk about nothing that talks about nothing, Tonight I want to talk about. I've been a heavy promoter of the Olympics. I am a heavy promoter of organized athletics. I love competing. I'm a real athlete. Like I don't care about money. I don't care about sponsors. None of that. I never have. What I care about is performing. And that's because of how I feel about the kinds of sports that I've played and all of the work that I've put into, and that has proven to me that, like, I enjoy sports. There's some things that are unconditional in life, and unconditional love is hard to come by, but it's not always about just that most beautiful unconditional love with the person. I think that a lot of life is built on unconditional love that we develop for certain hobbies, interests, and passions throughout our own life that make us the people that we are, at the end of the day. And so I just really like sports and competition and things. And I'm a heavy promoter of the Olympics. And now we're getting back to the subject matter. Olympic athletes don't get paid, and I don't like that. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about the fact that, there are world class athletes who countless hours time spend countless hours and money on their respected sport so that they can have an opportunity to audition for a spot on the Olympic team. You know, it obviously favors people that have a lot of money. One, Olympic athletes not getting paid does a number of things that are negative. One, it doesn't allow for people that have nothing to compete. And that's unfortunate, because as a competitor, as an athlete, I want everybody that's willing and able to competing, because I want a bigger pool of people that I feel like I can ultimately, defeat in that way, as it is an organized competition and so forth, and you are an athlete and you are competing for a spot, right? So that's kind of the first thing, is that when you think about Olympic athletes, not only do they not get paid, and not only is that not cool for anybody who's there at all from any country, but moreover, the people that are there because they in some way or another were able to afford it. Moreover, in different countries, obviously it's a lot more difficult. They could have less stable governments. They could have people that aren't able to financially support them, which again I think is total nonsense, because you're sending your representatives on a athletic global stage to compete, and you want to take care of the athletes. Like, you don't want to like not take care of them. But again, we're in 2024, real time Paris Olympics right now, where they don't even have air conditioners in the Olympic Village. And again, it's just sort of like, why would you do that to the athletes? Okay, but let's go back to what we were talking about, right? Is that so when athletes don't get paid at the Olympics, it makes it so that all poor people are out of the question, out of the picture. They can't afford to train, 15 years. They don't have the resources, and or just, simply they don't have the resources to do that, right? So they are denied the opportunity to even be competitive or to compete for a spot on the Olympic team. So that's the one bad thing that it does. Another bad thing that it does is it doesn't recognize in a meaningful way human beings' performance and showing up and willingness to entertain, without there being a paycheck. Like, I just, again, it's a little bit easier to do when you are, already very wealthy and you can think of a more intrinsic benefit as being representing your country on a global stage and doing so without having to get paid. That's very altruistic. That's very like ideal, but it doesn't work for everybody. And if athletes that are top level competitors who are wealthy compete, to begin with, then perhaps they could use those funds that they would inevitably receive because they are competing at the Olympics if everyone were to get paid and do something else with that if they didn't need it. But to say that, athletes from the African continent or certain parts of Europe or certain parts of South America, right, shouldn't get paid, like is ludicrous. These guys are need to be paid. They should be paid. Olympic athletes should be paid, even if they don't need it, right? Which again is intrinsically just kind of weird because we've already discussed that. But still, I Olympic athletes should be getting paid. It's a sad excuse that they don't get paid. Like, what does the Olympic Committee do with all that money? Like, seriously, like I don't. It's not like they pay any money to like host these things. I don't see what the Olympic Committee or Commission or whatever. I just don't see what they do with the money. Like, again, because host cities, it's a little notorious known fact that cities basically lose money every time they host the Olympics. But somebody's making money, and that Olympic logo that's a registered trademark and patented and copywritten, I'm sure, is a pretty good moneymaker on its own, even without human beings pushing that agenda forward, right? But still, like, where does all that money go? And, like, why can't any of what I'm assuming to be hundreds of millions of dollars that are generated, why can't the athletes get any of that? Like, I don't understand. I think athletes should get at least some of that. I think at the very least, athletes need to have basic conveniences if they're going to be asked to perform on the highest level of all there is to be performed at in the competitive athletic sporting world. So, point in fact, Paris, like, what a sham, yo. Like, you guys have all the world's athletes over there right now sitting on box beds, on mattresses thrown on top of boxes with no air conditioner. Like, holy potatoes. Like, why push an agenda of sustainability forward at a time when, you could be more concerned or more like you'd have better luck with figuring out how to properly and most efficiently generate enough power to provide these athletes with air conditioning. Paris, you're one of like, I mean, you're a pretty big name, I'd argue, like on the global stage. So like the fact that you're making everybody sleep again, like legitimately on boxes that have a thin mattress on them. You do realize too that Olympic athletes aren't like this guy from Vlogs About Nothing. To give you a point of reference, and I've said this many times before, I am 5'4". I weigh 115 pounds. I do just fine on a little thin mattress with that's being that's on top of a box. But like, what about like the 250 pound person, women or man, or they them, that like has a lot more weight and requires a lot more leg space. Like, I don't get it. Again, so like I just shame on Paris and shame on the Olympic Committee for failing to provide the kinds of enforceable rule and policy that would not allow the host city to one, treat the athletes like that, and two, being the biggest and perhaps most like toxic part of the problem is that you're bringing in all this money and nobody knows where it goes. So I just, just like anything else in life, I mean, people should be interested in where their money goes. I understand that it's all fake and it's kind of just like this big fun game that people with power like to play with us, but nonetheless, I'm just saying. So it's been a lovely, lovely little vlog session here on this Sunday evening. If you've made it this far in the video, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel grow tremendously. Again, as the creator of this particular channel that talks about nothing, I see the numbers every day, and I'm so grateful that people are coming around to the idea that vlogs about nothing could in fact be something that works for you. And if it doesn't, then I wish you the best, right? And I hope that you find some other kind of programming that you're into or whatever. YouTube is full of it. So seriously, thanks for all of your time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support. I hope that you guys have a lovely evening. And until tomorrow, bye. Hasta luego, mi amigos.